Scapula, it is also called as shoulder blade. It is triangular thin bone, placed on the posterior lateral aspect of the thoracic cage. It has two surfaces, three borders, three angles and three processes, so we have two surface that is anterior or costal surface and posterior or dorsal surface. This is the dorsal surface. We have three borders, that is superior border. This is medial border and this is lateral border. We have three angles, this is superior angle. This is inferior angle and this is lateral angle. We have three processes, this is spinous process, this is coracoid process and acromion process. Now, talking about the surface, the anterior or costal surface is mostly occupied by a large slightly depressed region called the subscapular fossa. The fossa provide origin to the subscapularis muscle. Now talking about the posterior surface, it has a prominent ridge which called as a spine of a scapula, which divides the surface into a smaller supraspinous fossa and a larger infraspinous fossa. It has a prominent ridge which called as a spine of a scapula, which divides the surface into a smaller supraspinous fossa and a larger infraspinous fossa. The supraspinatus fossa gives origin to supraspinatus muscle and infraspinous fossa gives origin to infraspinatus muscle. These two fossas are connected by the spinoglenoid notch, which is situated under lateral root of the spine. Now we are talking about the borders. In the border, we have superior border, lateral border and medial border. So in a superior border, near the root of coracoid process it presents the suprascapular notch, while in a lateral border at the upper end it presents the infraglenoid tubercle and this is the medial border. So for the angle, we have superior angle, inferior angle and the lateral angle. So in a superior border, near the root of coracoid process it presents the suprascapular notch, while in a lateral border at the upper end it presents the infraglenoid tubercle and this is the medial border. So for the angle, we have superior angle, inferior angle and the lateral angle. This is the superior angle. This is the inferior angle, and this is the lateral angle. The lateral angle bears the glenoid cavity or fossa which articulates with the head of the humerus to form the shoulder joint. Now for the processes, this is the spinous process. It is a triangular plate of bone with three borders and two surfaces. It divides the dorsal surface of the scapula into the supraspinous and infraspinous fossae. Its posterior border is called the crest of the spine. The crest has upper and lower lips. This is a acromion process. It has two borders, medial and lateral, two surfaces, superior and inferior, and a facet for the clavicle. This is the coracoid process. For the quick summary, this is the anterior surface and this is the posterior surface. And in the anterior surface we have subscapular fossa and the posterior surface divided into a smaller supraspinous fossa and a larger infraspinous fossa. It has three border, that is superior border, medial border and lateral border, and it has three angles, that is superior angle, inferior angle and the lateral angle. This is the glenoid cavity in the lateral angle. This is suprascapular notch in the superior border and that is a choroid process, acromion process and spinous process. Now for the muscle attachment, so this is the anterior surface and this is the posterior surface, and the anterior surface or costal surface is mostly occupied by a large slightly depressed region called the subscapular fossa. The fossa provides origin to subscapularis muscle. And the posterior surface has a prominent ridge called the spine of scapula which divides the surface into a smaller supraspinous fossa and a larger infraspinous fossa. Supraspinatus fossa gives origin to supraspinatus muscle and infraspinous fossa gives origin to infraspinatus muscle. So for the borders. The lateral border in the anterior surface, there is origin of subscapularis, and in the posterior surface, it has origin of a teres minor muscle and teres major muscle. Now for the medial border, in the anterior surface is inserted by serratus anterior muscle, and the posterior surface is inserted by rhomboid minor muscle above and rhomboid major muscle below the spinous process. Now for the angle, the superior angle is covered by trapezius muscle. And the inferior angle gives origin to latissimus dorsi muscle. The lateral angle bears the glenoid cavity or fossa which articulates with the head of the humerus to form the shoulder joint. Supraglenoid tubercle gives origin to long head of biceps. And infraglenoid tubercle gives origin to long head of triceps. For the process, in the spinous process the lower lip of crest of spine and the lateral border of the acromion process gives origin to the deltoid muscle. And the upper lip of crest of spine and the medial border of the acromion process provides insertion to the trapezius.
And in coracoid process,
there is insertion of pectoralis minor muscle, and origin of coracobrachialis and short head of biceps muscle. So this is for the muscle attachment. This is our note. If you want the notes, please comment down below.